If you are feeling lost, overwhelmed, or just tossed around by everything that is happening in the world, this episode is for you because we are going to be talking about how you can root down more deeply into your inner knowingness so you can resurrect with greater strength, power, and love. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a pathway to remembering your divinity. My work is to bridge both the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast. Today's episode is this beautiful combination of what I love to talk about most, which is psychology and spirituality intertwined for our own personal growth. And the topic that I want to talk to you about is resurrection and this beautiful gift during this time of year to resurrect. And so I just invite you for a moment to ponder what that notion of resurrection means to you. For me, there's this sense of I've fallen, or I've failed, or I'm lost. I feel untethered or not solid within myself. And there's this opportunity to root down in order to rise again. And I think there is such beauty to that image of really rooting down, because when we root down, there's this sense of strength, of knowing ourselves and how to rise again after falling, after failing, even stronger, even in greater alignment with our truth. And so this time of year is this powerful reminder of resurrection, because if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's spring and we are seeing new sprouts come forward and new life coming forward when we think of spring, right? If you're into astrology, we've had Venus and Mercury in retrograde, and they're moving forward, and Venus has been rebirthed into her morning star. And so there's this sense of, and we're in Aries, right? At the beginning of the zodiac. And so it's this time of rebirth and moving forward with strength, with power, with conviction. And then, of course, there's Christianity. And we have this powerful time where Jesus, Yeshua, is in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights before he goes through a transformative process where he will die, where he has fallen, and will show us how to rise again. So I want to speak to that a bit because there's all sorts of different beliefs with that Jesus did this to forgive our sins. That's not really the place that where I'm coming from with this. I really am utilizing ancient texts, ancient different spiritual backgrounds from goddess teachings and ancient Egypt and Christianity and Buddhism and Taoism and you name it, to really reflect on how these ancient teachings We're always, all along, here to guide us back to greater love within ourselves. And so for me, I did grow up Christian. I still go to a Christian church, but my beliefs about it are not what the traditional beliefs are, because there is this expansive place of where all these different spiritualities are actually teaching us how to walk the way of love. And so when we really understand Christianity as it's guiding us with our own inner rising, then we can see that Yeshua, what he is doing during these 40 days and 40 nights, is an absolute profound opportunity for each of us to look at what needs to die off in order that we can rise more fully. Now, what always cracks me up with Lent is that people give up stuff. They give up stuff that they know is not good for them, but it's temporary. Now, I think this is great because you at least have, if you follow that, where you give something up for 40 days, you get a taste of what you are like without some external aspect or something that you're doing that you know is out of alignment. You get to feel yourself without that, even if it's temporary. However, the whole point is really, it's not about sacrifice just to sacrifice. It's, am I willing to let go of something that I'm over identifying with, that is not serving me? And I know it. I know it because I'm able to see that it doesn't serve me. But I have this belief that I can't live without it. I need it for X, Y, and Z. And this is really an opportunity to start challenging your psychology on this. And what a beautiful thing. Now, ultimately, when we integrate our spiritual practice with psychology, it's not to do it just temporarily. It's to really refine ourselves to remembering our truth, and that this aspect is really not necessary. And we go through the workings of what it takes to free ourselves so that we can rise again. And that, to me, is the most beautiful aspect of this time of year. And it's hard. It is hard, and it can be really painful. It's interesting for me because I feel that I have had a natural time of going within whenever Lent falls, where it's a time to go inward, to reflect, to refine. And then again, we have Mercury in retrograde, and that's whenever these planets are in retrograde, we're being called to do the same thing. So you can see how, again, these ancient systems that are there to help us understand ourselves and understand life are really intertwined. And can we lean into our own knowing and these teachings to guide us on our path so that we can feel renewed again? So many people are struggling. They're feeling tossed around by changes in life. And yet, and yet, and yet, we all can rise again in greater strength and greater inner knowingness and greater trust and faith in ourselves and in the greater good. And the more you have that, the more at peace you are going to be, regardless of the whirlwind that's happening around you. And this is our time to really get this for ourselves. Otherwise, we are going to continue to feel uprooted, like these trees that are getting knocked down by these strong winds that we haven't seen before. Mother Nature really coming in with this strength. And it's like, we've got to get this for ourselves, or we'll keep seeing this sense of just feeling fallen down, and we don't know how to rise again. We don't know how to resurrect, and that is not true. We are built for it. Our psychology, when we look at it, when I teach with my programs, it's always about these 4 pillars of our psychology. It's not just our mind. It's not just our emotions. It's mind, body, spirit, and emotion. And we want these supporting us to rise together. Just that's that four-legged stool that's super strong and steady. And again, needs to be rooted deep within before we rise up. And this is the time right now that we are deeply rooting. And so I wanted to share with you a few steps and ways that we can really root down as we find ourselves getting ready to rise again, or to propel us more readily to rise again. So really looking at what is needed. First of all, it's you want to do whatever you can to make sure you are grounded into your body, into the earth, anchored in. And so, what is a practice that allows you to remember that you're more than all the doings, all the to-do lists, all the things that are going on in your life, or everything that's going on in the world? It's getting anchored back into your body. And so a few things with this, some of the most easiest, simple practices. You wake up, and before you wake up, you do not go to your phone. You go outside and you put your feet on the ground and you give thanks for whatever you want to give thanks for being able to breathe with ease, for having fresh air, for being healthy, or experiencing love, whatever it is. This is a way to get grounded, that I am safe as I am, even if things are not how I want them to be. And I'm in tune with the body of the earth, with the earth mother. I'm connected, and in doing so, I'm remembering my body, this sacred chalice that my spirit gets to operate from, to be able to demonstrate love and feel love and experience love and enact love and rise again in love. So we want to honor our body and really honor who we are innately, rather than go jumping into all the ways that we're being pulled. And I've shared this with people before. Please do not use your children as a way to say, but they need me. I know they need you. I have three children, and I had my three children within 18 months, three kids, boom. And this was still a practice because it was so important. Otherwise, I knew I couldn't be the mother that I wanted to be. I would be too scattered. I would be too reactive. So give yourself this, because during this time, when there's a lot of people around you or in the world reacting, you want to begin simple, less than 5 minutes step of getting yourself grounded. Okay, so that's number one. And then we really want to build on trust and faith. And so this is where I look at Jesus, Yeshua. What was he doing in those 40 days and 40 nights? He was building his trust and faith because he knew there was something ahead that he was going to have to face, and that it was not going to be easy to face. And he would have to have immense trust and faith to get there, and to trust in his heart, despite what was going on around him, right? And so there was prayer. And I'm a big believer in prayer, because prayer, we get to ask for support, that there is a wisdom and an intelligence that is beyond us, that is there to support us. I don't care what you think that is. As long as it's coming from love, I think you're in great hands. And so that's where we want to turn to, that when you're feeling adrift, when you're feeling like you've fallen flat and you don't know how to get up, when you feel tossed around, ask for support, and then be willing for the ways that it shows up for you. So it's one thing to pray, and then it's to be open to, how does the universe, the divine, the God, goddess, however you want to look at this being that is beyond us, is really this place of, how can I allow that to work through me, as me, and allow in that divine guidance. So prayer, we're asking, and then meditation is we're listening so that we can actually know what is being said. And then it's, to me, what Jesus was doing in those 40 days and 40 nights was shadow work. It was the ego was coming through and saying all the ways of why he should doubt himself and why he should take an easier route, and tempts you to play it safe, tempts you to try to do power over things rather than power within and power with. And it is a practice of listening to our inner knowingness. And so there's so much noise. And how can you allow yourself to go towards your ego? I mean, he set aside this time, 40 days and 40 nights, without distractions to really get into this inner work. And so, I mean, I've never done the 40 days, 40 night thing, but I think there's an opportunity of what would it look like if I haven't set aside time for myself to set aside 4 minutes or 40 minutes or a week, a day, whatever you want that to be, to really give yourself this space to be with your ego and why it wants to take you away from your next steps or who you know yourself to be, and how you want to rise in your inner knowingness beyond the doubts and the ways that we try to escape being in our truth and power. And that in and of itself is a whole process that's very deep, but you setting aside this piece to really be able to address and be with your ego, understanding how it's trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe, and that you are willing to go beyond that. Because during this time, when we're being guided to resurrect even stronger, it's being able to see the ways the ego has done this to you in the past and how it doesn't work in the long term. The ego's strategies are always short term, and they give you that little sense of like, oh, I feel better in the short term. But this is about long term resurrection so that your legacy of the love that you came here to be is lasting. And so for Jesus, it was, I am willing to let go of everything, including my human body, in order to have this message of love be resurrected and be long lasting. Now, what the Romans did with it and what it got turned into because of politics is a whole nother story. But I feel that the true Christianity in and of itself is also being on this path of being resurrected, and how we can really stand in this place of knowing the radical love that was demonstrated by both Jesus, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and so many others that were walking this way of love, walking that path. And so as you rise, with the next step is to rise in confidence. So we're rooting down. Now, how can I begin to stand back up in confidence as I face my ego, as I recognize the ways that it's tried to trick me in the past, go another way, tell me this is easier, better, and recognizing, all right, that might have worked for a minute, and now I'm back to where I started. That how can we build upon that so that we can resurrect with a steady foundation and power from within? And so this is one of the ways that I invite you to do this, is to use your failures as evidence that you will rise again, because we've all failed and we're still here. The ego wants to use that as evidence that you're never going to change, you're never going to have the life you desire, that you're always going to be a mess, whatever the ego does, right? But you're doing the shadow work, or you've done the shadow work, and now it's about really reflecting on, all right, how can I see that if I take in these failures and what I was meant to learn through each of these times that I fell, that it's been preparation for me to truly rise into more and more of the reflection of the divine that I was born to be. So when we fall, one of the biggest things that happens is we gain compassion, we gain humility. And these are so necessary for us as we lead. When we talk about leading from love, there's the power of love, and then there's the humility along with it, so that we can honor both the divine and human aspects of ourselves and one another. And so when we use our failures as evidence, as proof that we will rise again simply because we know we're still here, then we take in those lessons. We can see how we've changed through that for the better. It will allow us to build upon our innate strengths and have us be more expansive in the wholeness of who we are and the power of who we are. And then also, I think it's important that as we rise in clarity and confidence, that we're seeing the patterns of our past that don't work for us. So yes, there's shadow work, but we want to be able to just see our day-to-day patterns and where it's taking us off course. I've got an interesting story that just happened today that inspired me to want to talk about this even more. I was asking for guidance, something about work, and really wanting to get clarity about it. And so I prayed and I meditated, just like these steps I'm sharing with you. And then it's about allowing in the guidance to come through. So I'm going downstairs. This was this morning. I usually make myself a latte in the morning. But for some reason, I was just like, I am just kind of sick of coffee right now, which, let me tell you, is very rare for me. Like, I really enjoy my morning latte each morning. So I was like, I was hemming and hawing about it. I was like, my knowingness was like, just make myself some tea. It'll be a black tea. There's still caffeine in it. And I was going through this whole rigmarole in my head about like why I still need my coffee. And I even got out the pot of hot water to start brewing for my tea. And I literally stop it and start bringing out my coffee stuff instead. And I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. So when you find yourself in some weird thing going on and you're like, this is just off, this is not me, why am I behaving this way? Ding, ding, ding. These are like the flashing lights you want to be paying attention to, because this is a way that the universe is speaking to us. And so what I was being shown was I've got this work decision over here. And my mind thinks this is the way. This is the way I've always done it. This is the way I like it. This is the way to do it. And my knowingness is saying, no, 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 you need to do this instead. And I know this, but I start making excuses as to why my old way of doing things is the right way. And it's not. And it just all clicked right there and really solidified in that moment what I need to do for my work, because I was aware that this was a pattern, that I was trying to justify in my mind a way rather than listen to my heart. And this is what I'm talking about. Where we are at right now in the world is of course, we want to use our intellect. Of course, we have our intellect and experiences from the past to guide us. And yet your heart always knows. And it's about clearing away the stuff that makes us not just be in pure alignment with our knowingness. And when we're not, it doesn't make us bad. It doesn't make us wrong. We're just going to make our life harder. And we don't want that, right? And so this is really important for you to hear, because so many people are saying, life is so hard right now. I can't do this anymore. I'm so overwhelmed. And if that's the case, that is the opportunity because you're being shown another way. And the fact that you over rely on your mind, that you use your mind and your rational thinking to overpower your intuition, trust me, you're not alone. This is what we've been taught to do. We've been taught to memorize and learn all sorts of crazy things in school that we'll never utilize at the cost and expense of our inner knowing, of our intuition, of our inner wisdom. And it's time that we put that attention back uh, to our hearts and to that wisdom that knows. And so all these things that we do for our psychological growth is really to remember who we are and the power that we are and the power that we have to transform our lives, the power we are to continue to rise again, despite failures, despite faults, that we get to go from misalignment to alignment. And there's no punishment. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you a sinner. That's why I don't believe in sin, because in the ancient texts, the word for sin was you missed the mark. You were out of alignment with your heart. And who hasn't done that? So it's not about this sin and shaming you for being wrong or at fault. It's understanding our human journey is filled with us being out of alignment just so we can learn how to get back in alignment. And that's so important because those are the roots that grow deep and will strengthen you regardless of the winds, of the rains, of whatever is coming around in the world that is going to try to knock you off your feet, that you have developed the roots that know how to nurture yourself from within. So I hope that this becomes an opportunity for you to strengthen because I know you deserve a life where you remember the love that you are and that life is experienced with much greater ease. So utilize this time. If you find yourself saying life is so hard, take these steps and see what wants to fall away and see yourself as strong enough to be better when that aspect has fallen away. That without that, you're stronger because you are being fueled more and more from within. That is what this resurrection is about, that you learn to trust yourself, that you know how to fuel yourself from within to trust in your next steps, despite where the monkey mind takes us, despite where our old habits want to take us, despite what our rational brain says, is we are choosing to understand the way of love from within us and around us. And you being the strength is not just for you, especially in today's climate, because you demonstrating that you can remain calm and at peace is reprieve for others who are just really struggling to find any grounding. So wherever you're at, honor yourself. For listening to this, honor yourself, because I know that what I share isn't the typical way. What I share isn't the short-term easy route. I'm in it for you for the long haul, for the long run, so that you are standing and resurrecting in your truest strength, shining and experiencing the love, the light, the ease of life that you deserve. And not that life will always be easy, but with this anchoring from within, it becomes easier and easier for you to navigate. And your inner resources aren't spread every which way. You'll know how to channel them from within so that you can root down and rise up in greater strength and greater love. So I hope this serves you. I am so grateful that we have connected and found each other. I would love it if you would share this with anyone that you think that could utilize this information, that would help them in their resurrection journey. And I invite you, as always, to know that there is nothing broken within you. There is nothing to fix. The whole path is just about remembering the love and truth and power that you are. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, please take care.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.